Hello everyone and welcome to Crafting with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. In today's tutorial, I am demonstrating 3 quick and easy cardstock crafts that you can make with your Cricut cutting machine, and hopefully you will find it helpful. If you do, please remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Now, without further ado, let's get started. The materials I used for this tutorial include my Cricut Explore Air 2. I used 8 sheets of cardstock in fall colors to kind of match this as much as I could. Mine are not exact matches, but you'll see that my little turkey came out so cute. I used Scotch tacky glue. I used foam squares, several green standard grip mats, and I used optional rhinestones for the eyes, and I used scissors as necessary. The file was downloaded from the Creative Fabrica website. Let's head over to the computer so that I can show you how I prepared the file in Cricut Design Space. I'm in Cricut Design Space, and boy oh boy do I wish I could have brought in all of the layers at one time. However, I couldn't, so what I did first was made sure I was connected to my Cricut Explore Air 2 instead of my Cricut Maker, and then I started to drag and drop the file into Cricut Design Space. And for this process, you actually have to keep going back and forth to the folder wherever you have the file saved, and then dragging and dropping each layer. So there are, I think, 9 layers. Make sure you have all of the layers before proceeding. After I got all of the layers that I needed, the one thing I needed to do was with the black layer, make sure that it's attached. I did not resize any of the layers. I used the file at the size that it comes into Cricut Design Space. What I'm doing right here is condensing the number of mats. So I'm moving layers over and making a note of the colors that I need for each layer. Once I finished doing all of this, I was able to get down to approximately 4 mats. I am going to use the heavy cardstock setting with more pressure. Everything I'll do from here will be back on the camera. As you can see, we are at an overhead view, and what I'm doing right here is double checking my layers and mats against the instructions that came along with the file. I love that these instructions came along with it so I could double check the colors and just kind of match it as much as possible. Also, because I'm not a cardstock crafter, I need all of the help I could get. So after I made sure I had all of the layers, I started the cutting process. Once again, I used the heavy cardstock with more pressure setting. I keep my dial set to custom so that I can choose the setting that's appropriate for any project that I'm working with when I'm using my Cricut Explore Air 2. I'll speed this part up. Boy, oh boy, do I wish I could really get everything cut this fast. Unfortunately, I can't, but what I can do is make sure I have every mat ready so that when one is finished, I can quickly load the next mat and keep on going with the project. Now, this file does also come with a video tutorial. That's what I followed throughout this whole process. And what I'm doing right here is making sure once again that I have all the pieces. What I'm going to realize really quickly is that I am missing a layer. I'll get it cut out and I'll continue with the process. Thankfully, it was just one layer and it didn't impact anything for the most part. So I'm going to start with this piece right here. This is the back piece and it does have score lines. I just folded it back and I just followed the video tutorial. I'm starting with the body of the turkey and putting all of the pieces together. And then once I have everything exactly where it's supposed to be, I'll start gluing. Now, if you've been on this journey with me, you know that I am not a fan of glue, but I will say that I love the glue that I'm using right here, this Scotch tacky glue, because even though I use too much, I think for every single project. It does dry fast and it does dry clear. So I was thankful for that. Now these pieces are definitely not numbered, and even with the instructions that come with the file, there isn't like, oh, start here, then go here. There's no order of things. So without the video, I do feel like I would have been lost in this process, but I'm simply following the video. And so if you're going to be doing this project, you can follow my video. I am just layering in the pieces. They make sense where they go, but I still don't think I would have been able to follow it without the video support. I'm just adding the layers. Once again, I did use too much glue, but you won't be able to see it once it dries up. I think this turkey wrap is my favorite project of all three that I made in this tutorial. Okay, so the red layer, now I'm just adding those feathers right there. And really, once you look at the pieces, it will all make sense, especially if you are a cardstock crafter. You probably would have been able to do it without a video, unlike me, who needs all the extra support I can get when I'm working with cardstock. And shout out to me for doing 3 cardstock crafts in one tutorial. I was so proud of myself, but I also feel like all 3 of these projects were super, super easy. And trust me, I would not have even attempted them if I felt like they weren't. Now, I was going to do this one whether it was easy or not because it caught my eye. And it's not very often that cardstock crafts catch my eye. Even my son looked at it and said, oh, that's pretty cool. So I knew I was on the right track with this one. I intentionally slowed this part down so you can get a good look at what you should have so far. This is basically the back of the turkey with all the feathers. Okay, so get a good look at it. If you are only going to be following my tutorial and not looking any further, this is what you should have done first. Once you have this done, you'll have time for this to dry while you start to actually work on the body of the turkey. All right, let's speed it back up a little bit. We get the black piece of the turkey and that brown piece of cardstock. And my cardstock is random. It's not like I use all 65-pound or all 80-pound. I use whatever I had on hand because I am committed to not shopping so much this month. I am trying to make better decisions. Shout out to me for that. Shout out to me for acknowledging myself. Okay, so I'm gluing the brown piece onto the black part of the body. And right here, these just, you're going to glue the feet on. Once again, I think I still use too much glue. And don't worry about it if you do, because it does dry up clear. All right, here's the hat. I'm going to add that. And once I add the hat, I'll add the other pieces that go along with it. You'll see that there are 2 little, like an orange piece and another piece that goes with it, but let's still finish up the hat and all of the fixings that go on the hat, that little silver piece that you would think it wouldn't make a big deal, but it really does add a little za to the hat. Wait until you see me attach it. It looks really cute. Come on, fancy hat. Look at that. Looking really cute right there. And then I'm just going to get the eyes next. And then once I finish the eyes, there's a little orange piece that's right there off to the side. And then we'll finish up with the feathers. Now that orange piece, it actually has 2 parts that go with it. And in the video that I followed, he glued the 2 pieces together before adding them to the turkey. I'll try to get up close so you can see what that should look like. Okay, so this little piece, just glue those 2 together. And the one that's on has the long piece, that one goes in the back, basically. And then you're just going to add that to the turkey's face and just get it glued on. Okay, get those 2 feathers. You're going to just glue one layer to the other. I feel like this part should have been optional I don't think I needed 4 feathers here. I think I could have just done fine with 2, but I followed, like I said, once again, I followed the tutorial, which meant gluing these 2 layers together. And then on the back of these layers, he added the foam. He used foam dots. I had foam squares, and I had some that were very small, so they worked perfect to add some dimension to the turkey. I'm just adding the foam dots. I think I just did 2 on the back of the feathers, and then I'm going to flip the turkey over. See how cute it is? Oh my gosh, wait until you see the rhinestone eyes. It's going to take it to the next level. I'm adding the foam squares just in various places so that it stays in place once I put it on my table or wherever I plan to use it this season. Now I have all the foam dots or foam squares. I'm going to place the turkey onto that first layer that we worked on, and then I'll add glue down the center of the back. And right here you can also use foam squares or foam dots, whatever you have. You don't have to use this tacky glue. And I'm just going to add it to the center of that black piece that I folded when I first got started, just lining it up with the feet. I'm going to grab that long piece, add some adhesive. I didn't cut it or do anything. It was perfect for this bottle. And I just held it for a few because once again, this glue does dry fast. I think if I had to do it over again, I might use double-sided tape instead of this glue for the bottle. But it worked fine. It did not take long to dry. Once I felt like it was dry enough, I just added some more of the tacky glue to the back of the turkey. And then I just added it to the wine bottle, and you'll be able to see that. Okay, so now I have the turkey. I just added some adhesive on both sides, and I just stuck it to the bottle, and oh my gosh, I love it so much. I think it's so cute, but not even finished yet. Now I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of adhesive to these rhinestones. These are jet black hot fix rhinestones, and normally you would use heat to apply these, but I'm just going to use this same tacky glue and add a little bit to the back or of the rhinestones and just apply them right there. And because I want the turkey to look like he's tipsy, I'm going to apply the eyes so that they are not level, and you'll see how cute it is. Can you say obsessed? Can you say obsessed? Oh my gosh, let's keep going. For our next project, we are making these super cute fall napkin rings. Let's go to an overhead view so we can look at the materials. We'll go into Cricut Design Space, and I'll show you how to cut them with cardstock and how to cut the faux leather. Let's do that now. The materials I'm using for the napkin rings include these napkins that I purchased in a 12-pack from Amazon. I'll use a green standard grip mat, my Cricut Explore Air 2, cardstock in orange and brown. I purchased this pack of faux leather from Amazon, and I really had a hard time deciding which two to use because I saw a lot of combinations that I really liked. I love fall colors. These, like, are you kidding me? They're so pretty. I also love these two together. I love these together. So when I get a pack like this, it's very hard for me to decide. So I just decided I better keep it plain and simple. So I just decided to go with plain orange and plain brown, just like the cardstock. For adhesive, for the glue, for the cardstock, I'm still going to use the Scotch tacky glue. And the adhesive that I'll use for the faux leather is this fabric glue right here. Now let's go into Cricut Design Space so I can show you how to get the files prepared. We'll get them cut, and then we'll come back overhead to get them cut and put together. I'm back in Cricut Design Space and I have the file uploaded. I'm not resizing the file at all. The first thing I am going to do is select the ring part of the project, and I am going to make sure that both layers are attached because there are cut lines in the part that is considered as the ring. Now, because I'm going to do 2 that are cardstock and 2 that are faux leather, I'm going to select both of these pieces and I'll duplicate them 3 more times. If you do plan to resize this, I do suggest that you select everything on the screen and resize them all together. But these work fine at this size. So let's go ahead and select both. I'm going to click duplicate. That'll be a second set for cardstock. Duplicate and duplicate. So now I have 4 sets. Now I'm going to click make. I'm not going to save this. There's no need for me to save it. Now I'm going to move 2 of the top layers to a different mat, and I'll move the other layers are already separated, and that's perfectly fine. When it's time for me to cut the cardstock, I'm still going to use the heavy cardstock with more pressure setting. And for the faux leather, I am going to place the faux leather with the pretty side facing down, and I'm going to mirror the image on the mat, and then I'll use the faux leather paper thin setting for that. Everything I'll do from here will be back on the camera. Starting with the cardstock first, I'm using the heavy cardstock with more pressure setting. It works perfect for me every time. For the faux leather, this one is with the pretty side facing down. I have it secured with painter's tape, and the design is mirrored in Cricut Design Space so that it will cut through without a problem. While the brown faux leather cut perfectly, the orange did not. I had a very hard time cutting that one. It's because the back of the orange layer was different from the brown. So I tried it. I used the same settings. Here I am putting it down on the mat, face down with the pretty side down. You'll see I got one part of it cut and it did okay, but that second one, it started like eating it up, and this is the only piece I have in this color, so I had to make it work. I continued to try, and I used the pieces that I had, and then I cut away pieces, and I found a different mat that was more sticky, and I made it work. So let's start with the cardstock first. And when I first started with this, I don't know what made me think, oh yeah, let me glue this piece with the stem hanging down on the side that doesn't have a stem. I don't know why I did that, but I did not want to have to cut this again. So don't make this same mistake that I made. Pay attention to the pieces, like a puzzle we did when we were kids. But pay attention to the size and the shape of everything, and then glue it down in the right place. Otherwise, you'll be kind of stuck like I did. So see, I'm gluing this down, and then I realized, oh, wait, there's no stem hanging down. So I had to pull it up and try to make it work. But not before I glued the other side down. Let's not forget that I did that. I glued both sides down in the wrong place. And once I figured out that I did that, I had to take those up, and thank goodness I was making 2 of each, because I was able to still use these on the other piece of brown cardstock. So here I am still using way too much glue and getting the pieces glued down where they are supposed to go. And once I finished, even though I used way too much glue, I love the cardstock napkin rings more than I love the faux leather ones. I'm in disbelief that I love them as much as I do. Maybe because I felt like the faux leather was a little bit too flimsy. I don't know if I should have glued the leaf to the ring part, but the design didn't require that or suggest that, so I just didn't do it. But anyway, I'll get the faux leather glued down, and then I'll show you how I fold the napkins so they look nice with these napkin rings. All right, so the one you see right there, that one is actually cardstock, but let me show you how I fold the napkins and make it look really cute. You just take the napkin, let me kind of zoom out so you can see it. You make it into like a triangle, and then you take the one corner, it doesn't matter, I typically start with the left, and then I fold the right up, and so you have what looks like a diagonal, kind of fold it back, and squish. That's my little song for folding napkins. All right, so now I'm just going to squeeze that on there. This one is faux leather. You see how it's kind of like flimsy? It's still cute, but the cardstock one just held up so nicely. Let me show you my napkin fold again. And in no time, you'll be having cute napkins and singing a song that goes with it perfectly. Let's do it again. You take the napkin, pull that tag off, you don't need it, fold it into a triangle. Then I start with the left, fold up, fold the right, pull back. I'm gonna pull it back, fold it back, and squish. And then you just put the napkin ring on there. Look at how cute that is. This one is also faux leather. Look at that, it's coming apart. I didn't know if I should have glued it, but I didn't, because like I said, the instructions didn't specify that, but it still looks cute, and nobody's gonna be like, oh my gosh, look at your napkin rings, they're coming apart. And if they do say that, I'll say it's time for you to go. All right, so now let's continue. Let's watch that process one more time. Okay, I have my napkin. I'm going to fold it into a triangle. And I start with the left, fold it up. Here, I'm zooming it out so you can see it really good. Fold it up, fold it up, fold it back, and squish. And there you go. Look at how cute this is. Look at how cute my napkin rings are. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to make more napkin rings, and I mean out of cardstock. Yes, it's me, Delonda, believe it or not. This is our next craft. Let's look at the materials that we need to make this, and let's get it going. Here I am overhead. Let's look at the materials. I did print out the instructions, and I have cardstock to kind of match the colors. So I have brown, I have a tan color, I have black, orange, red, another tan, and like a gold, and we're gonna make it work with what I have. I'm also going to use some Cricut standard grip mats and more of the tacky glue. I am back in Cricut Design Space, and the file comes in like this, and I resized mine to a width of 10 inches because I felt like it was too small at the size that it comes in. It comes in at like right at 8 inches in width, and I wanted it a little bit bigger. So I didn't ungroup it or anything like that, and I don't suggest you ungroup it. If you are going to resize yours, just keep it all together and resize it at one time. Now right here, what I'm doing is the same thing I did when I made the Tipsy turkey. I'm just minimizing the number of mats and moving things over so I don't have to have, 8 mats. I don't need 8 mats. I can get this done in 3 or 4 mats. Once I have everything where I want it to go, I will use the heavy cardstock with more pressure setting. Everything I'll do from here will be back on the camera. When all of the cardstock was finished cutting, once again, I followed the instructions, making sure that I had all of the layers, and then I just went down the list. Now, this one is different from the Tipsy turkey in that it tells you like, number 1, do this, number 2, do this. And so I just followed the numbered instructions and got everything glued down. So what you start with is the body of the turkey, and just follow the instructions. Really, literally, that's what I did here. I didn't run into problem until I got to the end where you have to put the turkey into those slots, because I wasn't sure what they were considering as the back slot. I'll show you that part. Adding adhesive to the back, and then I'll add the hat. I don't know why I was so concerned about the adhesive, because I've used it so much that I know exactly that it's going to dry clear. But I'm just following the directions and adding the pieces in the order that is suggested on the instructions. All right, here the instructions are not as clear to me, but they might be clear to you. So there are two pieces that look alike. You're going to glue the tabs together to make them one piece. And then after you have them glued together, you'll start to put the pieces of the turkey into each of the slots. When you take a close look at the turkey, you'll see that that back piece, that little cardboard piece that has the cuts in it, there are 4 slots. So the set of big feathers go in the slot that's the furthest in the back, and then you add the red layer, and then you just keep going until what you have in the front is the turkey. And there I am putting the turkey in the front, and I was so I was so proud of myself. The turkey is so cute. I might be turning into a cardstock crafter. I don't even know what's going on with me. Oh my gosh. So hopefully you did find this tutorial helpful. If you did, please remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications, because I do upload new content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.